And so I've ripped up the supply and confidence agreement with Justin Trudeau. And we know that that makes the election timing more uncertain and, frankly, more likely.
Breaking up, well, it's very hard to do. And it took NDP leader Jagmeet Singh over 2 years to finally figure out that whatever this agreement was with Justin Trudeau's Liberals wasn't working out for the NDP. Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Brian Lilley and Warren Kinsella. Brian, I remember the day this story broke, and our very own Warren Kinsella coined it the axis of weasels. Nobody voted for Jagmeet Singh to prop up the Liberals. No one put their X down on the ballot for that to happen. But now finally, the so-called agreement, so the supply agreement they had torn up, ripped up. What does it mean?
Uncertainty. That's all. Uncertainty. We could have an election this fall. We could have an election next spring. There's also the chance that this could still go through until next October 2025, to be exact. Jagmeet Singh has made it clear he doesn't like the Liberals. He thinks they're bad for Canada. He thinks they are weak, that they are selfish, beholden to corporate interests, disappointing and frustrating for Canadians. He said all of those things in his Thursday news conference, but the one thing he wouldn't say, and it was the first question he was asked in French, was, do you have confidence in the government? He walked around it in French. So I yelled out, en anglais. And again, in English, he walked around it, wouldn't answer. Several other reporters tried, and then towards the end, I got my questions in, and I want to play just a bit of it because I asked him, he didn't answer, and then I went at him again, he still didn't answer. Here it is.
You've said about a dozen times at least that you've ripped up the agreement and that makes an election more likely. But you've been asked several times and you won't answer. Do you have confidence in the Trudeau government as they stand now?
I will be clear again. We have absolutely ripped up the agreement with Justin Trudeau, and that means an election is more likely.
Clear. That's not clear. You're equivocating.
And an election, whenever that election comes, we'll be ready to fight it. And the vision around that election is going to be an important one. Canadians will have to make a choice.
But can we get an answer?
Corporate-controlled Conservatives, they're going to let their corporate buddies rip you off even more, or New Democrats are going to save you money on your rent and your groceries. That's a choice that Canadians will have to make.
Can we get an answer?
I will look at any vote that comes before us, and we will make a decision in the best interest of Canadians, as any minority government normally operates.
So Jagmeet Singh is going to put himself in the position of saying this is a horrible government, bad for Canadians. Will you vote for them in the future? Yeah, probably.
Okay, so Warren, now we have a situation where Singh is saying, okay, the supply agreement is gone, but this puts us closer to an election. Is that now very much a reality versus what we were looking at to October 2025?
I judge them by their actions, not by their words. They are, after all, politicians. Last week, Léger is the pollster who is the most accurate federally. In the last two federal election campaigns, Léger nailed it. And Léger came out with a poll last week saying that Jagmeet Singh's NDP had dropped 10 points to 15 points, and they were looking at losing 10 seats at least. Jagmeet Singh would be crazy to have an election now or in that kind of environment. So I don't believe a word of what he said to our good friend Brian or anybody else. He's trying to sound tough, but he's not going to walk the tough. He is going to support this government as long as he feels is necessary.
But Warren, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Our old friend Carl Belanger, longtime NDP worker, activist, strategist, was director of communications to Jack Layton and Tom Mulcair. He was on CTV the other day and was asked about this, and he said, Jagmeet Singh may be Michael Ignatieffing himself. And they said, well, what does that mean? And he said, during Harper's second minority, Ignatieff kept saying, Mr. Harper, your time's up. And then he would vote to keep the Harper minority in office. It loses all credibility, loses any moral sway, and loses voter support. I mean, is Singh in danger of doing that?
You know, I understand just in Machiavellian terms, what Singh has done. He had been hurt. He was getting hurt, he and his party and their brand, by their association with the most unpopular prime minister in our lifetimes. Like, there's nobody more unpopular, nobody more radioactive than Justin Trudeau. So they had to give the illusion of moving away from that by tearing up the agreement. But the question that you asked him is the key question. Okay, well, are you going to vote against him the first opportunity you get? And he repeatedly did not answer the question you asked him, because he ain't gonna. He ain't gonna do it, not while he's looking at losing 10 seats.
And this is, of course, Brian, for Trudeau, he basically knows the NDP can't either afford financially or in the polls to go to an election right now. And frankly, the Liberals can't either, but we'll get to that in a moment. So it's a win-win for Trudeau. He may have avoided the questions yesterday when asked about Jagmeet Singh tearing up the agreement.
I really hope the NDP stays focused on how we can deliver for Canadians, as we have over the past years, rather than focusing on politics.
But he knows that regardless of what Mr. Singh says, there is still going to be a propping up of this government. That there's no interest to go to an election anytime soon. There's too many pensions on the line, not only for NDP, but Liberal MPs. That's a bit of a crass way of looking at it, but sadly, as Warren points out, they are politicians after all. But I just wonder, I mean, you talk about credibility, we talk about what's believable or not. What's happening around that NDP caucus table right now? And like they are hearing it from their constituents.
Well, they've just been given a new set of talking points. When I broke the story that the coalition was done the other day, I tweeted out the internal NDP caucus email that informed them that now it's official. And by the way, was speaking with some same staffers at the event. They told me they started discussing this at the beginning of the summer when the House rose. They came to the final decision about 2 to 3 weeks ago. That video was shot 2 weeks ago, and they've now got a whole package of literature, of social media posts with their new talking points. And their view is they can hold Trudeau to account, and they can deliver for Canadians, and they're the only one that can stand up to Pierre Poilievre. I think that, their hope is that they can at least leapfrog over the Liberals and, replace them as the official opposition, unless, of course, the bloc surges. But, Pierre Poilievre is a huge winner in all of this, because he gets to, he said he's going to put up a vote of non-confidence at the earliest opportunity. So he puts that up there. If the bloc and the NDP vote with him and the government falls, Poilievre gets an election and he's going to win big. But if they vote with the government, he gets to hammer them every single day. And he wants to hammer the bloc because he's rising in Quebec. So he gets to put out ads and statements. These guys are with the Trudeau Liberals. They're with the most unpopular government in our lifetime.
Absolutely. But, Warren, the bloc could vote with the Liberals to stop any confidence issues. But that said, the bloc themselves are doing decent in almost every single poll. We see them potentially coming in second place, them being the official opposition, perhaps after our next election. But aside from that, just the question is, why now? There have been multiple times when the three of us have been sitting around our tables and have talked to our viewers and our readers and said, Jagmeet Singh is so critical of the Trudeau Liberals, yet he still supports them, yet he still props them up. So why now? There's a by-election happening in Manitoba. Elmwood-Transcona was held by an NDP. As Brian just recently posted on X, all the literature does not show pictures of Jagmeet Singh in any of the literature for the NDP candidate. So there's that factor. But what? But why now? It had to be more than just the rail strike. Why now?
I think it's, I'm guessing, but I think it was hurting them. The association with Trudeau was hurting them. And all of the stuff that they were claiming they were getting from the arrangement, dental care, pharmacare, nobody was giving them any credit for it. The polls show that. So I think it was hurting them. And I think people in caucus said, look, you've gotten, like Nietzsche says, you look too long into the abyss will look into you. And that's what happened here. Is they just got too close to Trudeau, and Singh in particular got too close to Trudeau. So you take him off the signs in Winnipeg. So because they're in a knife fight with the Tories there. The Tories win there. That's a big problem for Jagmeet Singh. And in the old Paul Martin's riding in Montreal, LaSalle-Léonard, if they lose that one, the Liberals lose that one, Trudeau's in big trouble. The only guy who's sitting pretty, as Brian says, is Pierre Poilievre.
Okay, so under all of this specter, Brian, the news reports come out that the person who's going to be running the next Liberal war room has quit. So
Yeah.
What significance does that have?
Jeremy Broadhurst is a well-respected Liberal operative. He's been around a long time. He's run the campaign in the past. He ran, I believe, 2019 and 2021. He is vital to Trudeau's success so far. But kudos to our competition across the street at the Toronto Star. They have claims that Broadhurst is quitting because he doesn't think Trudeau can win. And they've got to put in someone who thinks Trudeau can win a fourth term. I don't know where you find such a person. I get that, there's 14 months and my 3 rules of politics again, voters are fickle, campaigns matter, polls change. All of that can happen, but it's a really big slog, even though it's 14 months away. It's a big slog. So how do you find someone who is willing to go on a suicide mission or potential suicide mission at this point?
Warren, from your perspective, having run and won a few Liberal war rooms yourself, the significance of this report that Jeremy Broadhurst has said Trudeau can't win, get someone in there who can. It sounds like a nearly impossible task, but you can always find someone that's going to tell the leader what they want to hear, I suppose. But is this an important aspect of this bigger story about when an election will happen?
Well, look, it's politics, right? And everybody can be replaced. Everybody. And I know lots of politicians and staffers don't believe that, but everybody can be replaced. There's lots of ambitious people always in behind you looking to fill your spot. However, the thing that is most damaging about this Toronto Star story, and I guess we'll find out soon whether it's true or not, about Broadhurst leaving. And I've known him for 15 years. Very smart guy. He's got the Liberal Party logo tattooed on his shoulder. Like, he is hardcore supporter of the Liberal Party in good times and in bad. In that story, they have him saying to Trudeau, I can't do this because I think you're going to lose. That, if that is true, that is a big deal. That is something that's going to send shivers through the entire Liberal establishment. I got members of caucus phoning me because I think it indicates to them that it really is truly, absolutely over, and Trudeau's got to go. But so far, he's not leaving.
And just one other nugget from that reporting is that Katie Telford, Trudeau's chief of staff, was supposedly taken off guard by this move, Brian. But just final thoughts on this end of the relationship, so to speak. When will this next test come for Jagmeet Singh? There's a fall economic statement that usually comes forward. We expect it October, November. Will there be any sort of confidence motion that we could see before the end of the year?
Absolutely, there could be if Parliament resumes. One of the rumors going around right now is that they're going to prorogue, and of course, that Liberals, really vilified the tool of prorogation when Stephen Harper used it, but they have no problem using it themselves. So House is supposed to come back September 16th. Don't be surprised if we get told, no, there's another date. Poilievre has said he will bring forward a motion as quickly as possible. So if it comes back on the 16th, I would say within 2 weeks, we could see an opposition day motion. And at that point, the Conservatives say they will put one forward. If not, if they do prorogue, it'll be within a couple of weeks of whenever the House does come back. But they do have to have the fall economic statement. I wouldn't expect that before mid to late November. I think they'll push that as well, and just try and keep pushing things off to make it uncomfortable for anyone to bring the government down.
Well, either way, it looks like the Trudeau government is on a clock. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go to thetorontosun.com. You're going to find commentary and coverage there you will not find anywhere else.